Salutations, Legion of Doom. Welcome to Podcast The Storm, where social awkward outcasts, crazy weirdos, and all around nerds convene to talk and debate all things pop culture. With me, as always, is my co-host, the nerdy occultist, aka the Authenticator, Dalton L. Mortimer.
Hello and good evening, everyone. We had to reschedule this week because Brainstormer and company are going on a vacation.
And I'm your host, last time long wannabe, the Brainstorm Pop Culture. Yeah, like Dalton said. So I apologize for this being a day early, but I would not have access to my computer to make this to do the podcast because, as he stated, I'm going on a weekend vacation with my family, and one thing, the place we're going to doesn't have Wi-Fi, so there's that. And I believe I mentioned this last week, and I believe the week before, because we were in the plan stages of it. But yeah, that's why we're doing it now. So full honesty, we're gonna try and get this done as fast as possible. Not because, well, to be fair, it was kind of a slow week.
But you have to be up at the crack of somebody's dawn, and so we have to hurry.
Yeah, hence why this isn't taking place at 8:30 like it usually does either.
Yeah. Skipping ahead.
Yeah. So mainly we are going to try and finish some stuff and cover some other stuff we found. So I've had about 2 weeks to think about this. The first thing we're gonna do, obviously, if anyone can tell it from my icon change, we're reviewing Marvel's Fantastic Four. We would have done it last week, but obviously, just a lot of trailers came out and stuff, so we cover that first.
It was Comic-Con week, and that took priority.
I always forget it's Comic-Con comes around like in August. I don't know.
Usually, it's actually a little closer to my birthday. Very, very often, Comic-Con happens the very same week as my birthday, and therefore the trailers wind up being birthday presents.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I don't always like a lot of them, but que sera, sera.
I think Donald liked my birthday presents. I got him.
I did. Even the one that was poorly designed and therefore broke before I even got a chance to wear it. God damn it.
Yeah. Do you want to tell him what I got you?
Okay, so Brainstormer got me the new J.M. DeMantis omnibus for Dr. Fate, which would be the run between when Kent and Enza died and when the Strausses took over. He also got me a Funko Pop, which was also Dr. Fate related, because apparently it came up in the recommended when he was shopping for the omnibus. And he got me a rainbow bow tie, but said bow tie was poorly designed and I could not wear it, so I had to fix it. And in the process of trying to fix it, it broke.
Right. To be very I assume you're still going to keep it as a memento, if anything.
Well,
did you throw it away? Please, that would actually hurt.
No, it fell apart. I'm probably going to use the leftover fabric as a bookmark for the foreseeable future.
All right. When he means rainbow, he means that I got him a bow tie with all the flag colors of the LGBTQ plus community, because he is my favorite gay.
I get you're one of the good ones energy from that. I know what you mean, but that has some real you're one of the good ones energy to it.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna do Fantastic Four, obviously how we always do it. We're gonna do kind of a non-spoilerly, kind of our just general thoughts on the movie first, and then we'll get into spoilers. Okay, I guess just you want to flip a coin and see who goes first?
Sure.
Okay, heads or tails?
I will take heads.
Sure you do.
Eventually, maybe, but not as yet.
Okay. You can go first.
Okay, so I guess the first thing we got to get out of the way is the absolute marketing clusterfuck that was this movie, because
To be fair, I think marketing for movies has really gone downhill for some fucking reason.
Hollywood is so ridiculous. Not just out of touch; they're literally upside down in most cases. Because for some reason they tried to hyperfixate on how this movie was going to be very social justice forward, how Sue was going to be the real leader of the team, how Johnny wasn't going to be a man whore anymore. It just they basically tried to make it seem like it was going to be another The Marvels or She-Hulk. And I can't believe that in the course of the last dozen years of social justice, well, okay, actually, to be fair, social justice didn't really start making inroads into the MCU until Captain Marvel. So I believe that was 2019.
Either
But
that
yeah,
or 2018.
for the last for the last like 6 or 7 years, social justice has utterly fucked every time. Like every time it is employed by the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it has crashed and burned with the intensity of the freaking Hindenburg. But for some reason, they still haven't gotten the memo. No, people actually want you to be loyal to the source material. Why are you doing this to yourselves?
Don,
Especially given, and this is where I was going with this.
Mhm.
All that shit was false, objectively, like provably, demonstrably false. So they made it up for no reason other than the fact that they are still so out of touch that they think social justice is a good thing. But as a result of all of that shit being fucking made up and wrong, this movie was much, much better than I expected it to be. It still doesn't go quite as far as I would prefer it to go, but then again, I'm an easy sell for cosmic semi-mystical weirdness, so that it be as it may.
Also, to be fair, I don't think Fantastic Four is like in yours. It's on the fringes of your wheelhouse, I think.
That there's certainly an argument that they could have gone further, and we will get into some of my ideas on how they could have gone further in a minute. But that would be spoilery. But long story short, I don't think I expected, and I don't think anybody else really expected, Fantastic Four to be the better of the superhero movies this year. But
I did.
It's the best superhero movie released this year so far.
So I can say this with great pride and a bit of a.
But even you didn't expect it to be better than Superman.
No, I did. I did actually. I really did.
I assume it's because you were setting yourself up for less disappointment with Superman, probably.
Yes, but also from the trailers we watched, which we had such a discourse with that when we were watching those, it felt more tonally consistent than the trailers of Superman.
And to be fair, the trailer editors did not do this movie any favors either as part of the marketing, because there were moments in the trailers that looked like the interviews and stuff were true.
I still disagree on that, but whatever. To be fair, I don't really pay attention to interviews and stuff. So
yeah, but in any case, not only was the interview, celebrity marketing bad for this movie, but whoever edited the trailer tried to make it look like it was true to some extent, or at least that I picked up on. To be fair, Brainstormer doesn't usually pick up on that stuff unless I point it out to him.
But you were wrong. So,
but yes, and this is another case much like Multiverse of Madness and Black Adam, where I am glad to no end that I was as wrong as I was about this.
So
This is the thing. For as cynical and bitter as I can be, I don't actively have a vendetta against these movies or these IP like a lot of the Gary's, Maulers, and Critical Drinker types do, because I would gladly be wrong. I was wrong about I was wrong about I was wrong about Black Adam in a positive way. I was wrong about Multiverse of Madness in a positive way. And while I did see Agatha being good coming when they did the performance of The Witch's Road at, I want to say, D23, prior to that, I was very, very skeptical of that. And so you could even throw that in the category. And this is another one where I am so glad that I was wrong, because being right would have hurt me. But to actually get into the description of the movie, I guess.
I would.
Go ahead.
Okay. I guess my general thoughts.
Mhm.
Again, I was actually pretty sure this movie was going to be good, and I wasn't disappointed in that belief. Mainly because I got to see it in a drive-in theater,
Mhm.
and that was really fun.
Those are always fun. I wonder if my local drive-in movie theater is still open or if it died at some point.
Um, yeah, I it had a lot of heart, which again is always going to be a big seller for me. Um, but it just felt like the kind of movie that honestly should have come out a decade ago.
Let's be real here. They have been perpetually fucking up the Fantastic Four since
Okay,
before since the Roger Corman days, and up until this movie, Roger Corman was still the best one. I would still maybe make the argument that for what it is, Roger Corman is still a better version than this, but
uh,
that's not because this movie was particularly bad. It's just because this movie didn't take as much of advantage of its setting and its characters as I would have liked. Um, that being said,
so can I? I'm sorry, I'm not.
sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Um, the world of, I believe it was 828, right?
Yes,
Which I think believe, if I remember correctly, was also a reference to Jack Kirby's birthday.
it may very well have been. It's also interesting that the Illuminati universe in Multiverse of Madness was
838.
838. So
Yeah.
there, if assuming the numbers mean a thing, which your results may vary. Assuming the numbers mean a thing, that means there's only 10 deviations between this universe and the Illuminati universe, which that universe does have a Reed Richards, so that I suppose makes sense.
So it's I just love the style, the design of everything. The God,
I will say, I also am a sucker for period pieces, especially like retro futurist type ones. I will say I think Captain America: The First Avenger did it better than this movie did, but that's some pretty fucking stiff competition considering that Captain America: The First Avenger is my it is either my number 3 or my number 4. I don't remember. No, I think it is my number 3 because I put it ahead of Endgame or ahead of Infinity War. Um,
and
it's my number 3 in the MCU ranking overall. And this movie, I did end up I did end up moving it above Deadpool and Wolverine because I rewatched Deadpool and Wolverine recently, and God, that movie has so many problems. Whereas this movie isn't quite as ambitious as Deadpool and Wolverine, but what it's doing, it's better at. So there.
Okay, so cinematography, it's amazing as well. Music was also great.
Again, the tone and stylization of the world was massively refreshing here.
Yes.
I still kind of wish this had been set in the MCU proper and could have been done during the actual 60s, but
I think you and I are you and I are in agreement on that. I legitimately think it would have been possible to do a period piece like that. And I've looked into like some Reddit, I like people who have posted ideas on how it could have been done better. Mostly, yeah, it would have been like maybe they didn't reach the heights they could have been. Like this would have been the early days of the Fantastic Four, and like space or light speed travel, all that stuff.
And there's no reason they couldn't have done it because there are things like the flashbacks in the Ant-Man movies and Agent Carter, the ABC show that set up that there was super adjacent stuff going on in between First Avenger and Captain Marvel, which it's weird that those movies are two completely different period pieces. I still don't know why Captain Marvel was set in the 90s, other than we had to have a reason for her not to be here during any of the Avengers stuff. Because they didn't really utilize the setting of the 90s very well in that.
Trying to think if we have anything general left to say. Oh, costumes were also good.
Those, in my opinion, could have been better, but we've disagreed about those since the trailers.
Yeah. So we're not going to get into that.
Right. So spoilers / plot breakdown stuff.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Okay.
Well, you
want to go?
I think you would do better at that. I'll input anything I have.
Okay, so like the trailers implied, Galactus is the big bad, and the proximate / redeemed big bad is the Silver Surfer, Shia LaBeouf. This is one of those. My only real complaint is I wish they had gone further, but when that's my only complaint, it's in pretty decent territory. I do think Galactus was extremely well realized here.
Oh, I mentioned this to you before, so I found out about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reason why Galactus looks so good is because the actor was given a proper suit, and they would just use CGI to obviously augment his size and stuff, and like give some extra like detailing. But it's fully practical. It's fully practical.
This is one of my, me being a pedantic bastard complaints, but I do wish they hadn't shrunk him. I wish they had kept him as this looming, quasi-deific presence,
in the comics. He appeared on Earth that size, relatively.
Right, but
alter his size.
I prefer if they didn't give him the power to alter his size, because I would have preferred if part of the reason he has the Herald is so that she can go and mingle among the mortals, so to speak, and be his errand girl. Yeah, I didn't like the side changing thing. Yes, it's in the early comics, but a lot of ideas from the early comics were improved upon later, and I prefer Galactus, who is essentially a force of nature unto himself. And I think having him shrink down to essentially condescend to speak to the mortals is a bit it defangs him a little bit, or it scales him down in both the literal and metaphorical sense. So
I think you're wrong, but okay.
Again, this is, like I said, this is me being a pedantic bastard and wanting, larger scale, more cosmic shit.
Don, when are you not a pedantic bastard?
That is why I specified that this was one of those. But yeah, my like philosophical and existential desire for Galactus to be as imposing and otherworldly and quasi-deific as possible aside, they did do Galactus really well. They did do the Silver Surfer really well. Still would have preferred if it had been Norrin Radd. Because why would you start with a Silver Surfer that isn't Norrin Radd? Yes, I know there are other heralds and stuff in the comics, but everyone and their dog knows the Silver Surfer to be Norrin Radd. Why would you start with somebody else?
Sorry, it's not relevant to your thing. It was going to be something I brought up later, so never mind. Sorry.
Okay. As for the characterizations of the four themselves, again, they completely lied about Johnny. Johnny is still very much a man whore, and a bit of a like surfer bro / frat boy douchebag, as he's supposed to be.
I will say, sorry. I will say they did give him. To be fair, it's I have limited knowledge on Johnny Storm. I've looked into stuff, obviously, because I'm going to research stuff. But they made a point to show that he's also intelligent, not as smart as Reed, obviously, but spoiler, obviously, he's able to decipher an alien language and put in time. Obviously, it's for record. They used montages. God damn, do I like fucking?
Yeah, so many movies could have been improved by montages, and yes, I'm about to rant about the thing that perpetually bothers me here. They missed that trick so hard in the first Doctor Strange, because what should have happened is the Ancient One rejects Strange, and then he stubbornly goes back each and every day to try to convince her to let him back in, such that he proves that he is worthy to be let back in. They really missed a trick by not having that montage there. This movie doesn't have that problem. This movie montages effectively, and God, I'm glad somebody remembered montages was a thing they could do, because so many movies have forgotten how to do that.
But also, yeah, no, you're right about Johnny though. I'm not sure man horror really comes across, but to me,
they probably could have emphasized it a bit more. But what I'm saying is, they didn't do the thing that they said in the interviews and make him a more, feminist approved ally. Fucking bullshit. But being that as it may, back to the thing you mentioned about Johnny also being people forget that the whole reason why the Fantastic Four are the Fantastic Four is because they had to qualify to be astronauts. And in order to qualify to be astronauts, you need both physical and intellectual abilities that most people don't have. Like, we're talking the top 1% of the top 1% of the top 1% of people are capable of qualifying for astronauthood. And Johnny, by virtue of being in the Fantastic Four, had to qualify as an astronaut, which means he had to have some knowledge of like physics and science and what have you.
Yeah.
Also, thing I saw people complaining about in the same way they did during Multiverse of Madness that I like that they kept here. Reed is and remains the stupidest smart person to ever smart because he does not get people and he does not get social cue. Like he's basically on the spectrum. Is the long and short of it.
Oh
Or
yeah.
to put it in the way I usually put it, if we're going by like D&D ability scores, Reed has 100 in Dex, a 30 in Int, and a -7 in a -7 or -8 in Wisdom. Dude has the common sense of a wet sponge,
Yeah.
and the social skill and the
I do,
social skills of a goldfish.
I do also want to point this out. Another, along with Reed's characterization, he does care. Like that came across very easily.
Yeah,
I think.
he just doesn't know how he doesn't know how the humans do, to borrow a Z Frank meme. Uh,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that is often where Sue shines. She is the she I hate the term emotional intelligence because it is so loaded in this day and age, but in the way it's actually supposed to mean, Reed has a maximum IQ but absolutely no EQ or common sense. Sue is all EQ and common sense. Not saying that Sue is as impaired intellectually as Reed is emotionally. I'm just saying that is one of the things that makes them a good couple, because she knows he doesn't get common sense and she knows he also doesn't get the people. So she makes it a point to be his common sense slash remember that the humans are human anchor.
Um. Okay. Okay. Sue. Since we kind of were just talking about her, fantastic. Pardon the pun.
Yep. Yep, and she doesn't overshadow or subvert or belittle any of the member of the team, and certainly not Reed.
She does. Yeah. And again, I think kind of piggybacking off what you were saying about, she does seem to be like kind of the anchor and the rock for Reed, while also still being her own self.
Yeah, she knows and he knows that he doesn't do common sense or people very well, and so she often acts as his translator, I guess is the best way of putting it.
Also, like, Vanessa, it's Vanessa Kirby, right?
Yes.
And Pedro Pascal, their chemistry as the characters is just like, I really buy them as like husband and wife.
Yep. I still think it might have been better if we got
Really?
John Krasinski and Emily
Yeah.
Blunt, considering they are actually married in real life and shit. But
I
I'm going to be beating that drum for the rest of the time, and
yeah,
it
and
just is
I
what it
made
is.
myself pretty clear that I don't really see it. I'll be fully honest.
Well, and not to retread old ground, but it hurts more to have them do the fan service and then take it away than if they had just not done it. So it bothers me that they gave the fans what they want and then ungave the fans what they wanted.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't. I don't see those two as those characters. I'm sorry.
Well, unfortunately, you're in the minority, and I am in favor of fan service more generally. So, but
Not at all. That's not okay. Whatever. Okay, last one before we move on to some other things. The Thing.
I think he's, in terms of like acting and characterization, he's probably the weakest of the four.
I disagree, but okay. I think it's just because we don't get to see a lot of him. He's kind of
the Tim Story movies did him much better by focusing on the like tragic emotional element of the thing. And Johnny, since we are doing the spoilers, he ends up getting a much larger character arc than I thought he would, because his love and romance with the Silver Surfer, or at least what seems to have been a budding romance, is a major factor of the plot.
Yeah. Sorry, is there anything else?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. You could have found a way to put Alicia in there. But I think it would have been better if they tried. Even if they just straight copied Tim Story's homework with Ben's character, I think it would have gone better for them than it did.
I still think Ben was pretty cool. I do agree. Like, well, I don't know. I don't agree with the acting or the performance or anything. I think that was solid. I think the issue was you didn't see enough of it.
Yeah, they didn't give Ben the meat of his character, and that was a bad thing. And it's although, to be fair, it's only bad by comparison because they did everybody else pretty damn well.
Yeah. Still good though. I think, honestly, with his dynamic with all the other characters, were just pretty spot on.
I feel like the writing didn't service him well enough, and that's a problem.
I don't know about that. I think that's a bit of a stretch. Again, I think it's just more of a timing thing than anything.
Unfortunately, when you're doing the Fantastic Four, your first and foremost priority is to get all four of them right.
I still think they got it right.
And Ben, I guess, kind of drew the short straw.
I mean, more or less, it was kind of actually. No, I'm not gonna say it was bloated, but it was a pretty packed movie.
It was. I'm just saying. I think there's a universe not too far from this one where we could have seen something at least on par with the Tim Story version, and it would have everybody would have been better off.
Okay, Don can. Sorry, again, it's just a time thing. I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, I also want to. Sorry, this is just the. Okay.
Go ahead.
This movie actually kind of broke a cycle of kind of some major criticisms that we've had, like a lot of people have had with a lot of Marvel movies recently.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually dramatic.
Yeah, and they don't triple it with jokes every 5 minutes.
Yeah, there's no really, they don't play any type of irony or anything, which is genuinely.
Yeah, the tone is far more sincere than usual, and my God, how I missed it.
I'm genuinely shocked, honest. Well, okay, Thunderbolts kind of had that in a way.
Yeah, but they still tried to quip more than they realistically should have, but they didn't.
I'm not sure. I think
there's still humor here, but it's not the character makes the side quip to the audience type of humor usually, which is the immersion breaking kind of humor that they've done a lot recently.
Yeah. Anything else, or? Oh, okay. You had ideas, right?
Okay. Yes. So, like I said, I would have preferred if they had gone further with some of the weirder cosmic stuff. One way they could have done that and it would have been a nice reference to the comics. In I want to say it was Franklin's first issue in the comics. They actually had his future adult self show up and demonstrate his cosmic powers to his parents and to whatever villain they were fighting at the time. It may very well have been Galactus, I don't remember. But given that, spoilers, Galactus wants Franklin, and his wanting of Franklin is probably the most like human thing he wants in the movie, because he is getting really, really sick of being the devourer of worlds and being the cosmic balancing force that basically does, controlled forest fire burnings for the universe so life can respawn and shit. And he knows and he can sense Franklin's latent cosmic power, and he essentially wants to make him his new herald / his understudy, so that when Galactus finally finds a way out of his situation, Franklin can take over. It would have been nice if they, again, borrowing from the comics, if adult Franklin with fully realized powers had came and bitch slapped Galactus a couple of times, because in the comics, and this is another one of those, God, I love how weird cosmics are sometimes, or how weird comics are sometimes. Franklin, adult or teenage Franklin, actually makes Galactus his herald. And given that is one of the main cruxes of the plot, it would have been a nice touch.
That's from Jonathan Hickman's run from like 2010s. It's not early comics.
Well, no, him making Galactus his herald part isn't, but I'm pretty sure the adult Franklin having reality bending powers and coming in kind of being a Deus Ex Machina is not that new. But yeah, given that Franklin being a living Deus Ex Machina is kind of fundamental to the plot here, it would have been interesting seeing the cosmic street fight between Franklin and Galactus.
Right. Sorry. Yep. Is there?
I mean, I can see a couple other ways they might have bigged up the cosmic angle a little bit more, but that was the main one. And maybe it's just me. I thought that's what they were organically building to. It also I think would have helped with regards to spoiler alert, Sue dies fighting Galactus, and then baby Franklin, wants his mommy, and so she gets jump started again. What they could have done is Sue dies, and then adult or teenage Franklin comes through a portal and he does it. Especially because he obviously would have more control over his powers, and while Franklin is indeed quite powerful, basically, for those that don't know, Jack from The Incredibles is based in no small part on Franklin Richards, and that could have, I think, worked better. Although I do have another suggestion, it would tonally change the movie somewhat, but it could have worked better, I think. And maybe this is just because I'm getting sick of the a character died, we need a mulligan thing. It could have been more interesting if Sue had just died, and then Reed had to deal with being a single father, and therefore fighting Galactus would have cost them something. Obviously, given that, again, Franklin is a major crux of the plot, having him jumpstart her again does make sense. I think it would have made more sense if adult or teenage him time jumped backwards and did it for them, but
Hey,
eh.
don't.
But yeah, I do think there is a more serious, more dramatic ending where Sue just stays dead, but they had already set up Franklin being uber powerful, so one way or the other, it was going to happen.
Hey, Giant Turtle. I did want to point something out because I recently learned about this. Again, spoiler, right?
Mhm.
When Galactus comes down to Earth, he's near Ellis Island and he looks at the Statue of Liberty, right? And I remember some people making the meme and stuff, tall lady, whatever, right? Galactus, all
Didn't
that.
they make that? Didn't they make that same joke with Surtur in What If in the Party Thor episode?
Yes. But someone also pointed this out that in Earth 12973, the Statue of Liberty is depicted as a powerful sleeping giant figure who is regarded as a god killer.
Well, and that does work, considering that the Statue of Liberty is heavily based on the Roman goddess Libertas. So that could even that part could work.
Yeah. So, and again, the whole, I know you're not big on this, like Galactus being an what was it? It's not Nexus being, is it? That every iteration of him is basically the same Galactus, like mind-wise.
Basically, doing with Galactus what DC does with Darkseid.
Yes.
Yeah, I prefer the way it was done in the old days, where the only like multiversial version of the cosmic entity is the Living Tribunal, and there's only one of him, and all the other cosmic entities are
Copies.
well, no, they're localized versions of themselves in each universe.
Yeah.
And that does include Galactus, because Galactus is, despite that I don't like the idea of him being like the Living Tribunal in that all of him are the same, or that there's only one. It is fundamental to his character that, due to the way the multiverse worked in old Marvel canon, Galactus is actually a survivor from the previous multiverse, and so when the new multiverse jump started, he got factored in as a fundamental force of the universe, to every multiverse within the Marvel continuity.
By the way, it's interesting, and to be fair, I would just like the idea that every Statue of Liberty in every dimension of the Marvel multiverse, and every Earth, right, is that secret god killer, like slumbering giant, all that.
And again, she's based on Libertas, so they could literally make it Libertas if they wanted. Also, this would have been weird even by my standards, but if they wanted to, make a full reference to that, they could have done it and kind of made it a reference to Ghostbusters 2 when they made the Statue of Liberty walk with the positively charged emotions line.
To be fair, now that I think about it, for one thing, that is a deep cut into Marvel lore. Granted, it was a comic in the 90s, but still, that not many people would know that. Obviously, because, like I said, how I first saw it, like the memes and stuff, was that God was like the woman of his height. It was a joke that people were doing.
I mean, we all have needs, and I imagine those needs get even more frustrating when you're a cosmic immortal.
Right. What was I gonna say? To be fair, now that I think about it, when I remember that scene, he looked very, not concerned, but on edge when he looked at her.
Yeah, assuming that they know about this, which is possible. Assuming that they know about this, it is possible that he thinks that she's been somehow enslaved by the humans, and so he wants to like break chains and shit.
Well, no, it's I don't know if that's it. It's more so again slumbering giant, and he's basically trespassing on her territory.
And there's always the good old fashioned, road to El Dorado solution of both is good.
Mm. As John Charles catching up, he just got to the part where I called you my favorite gay. Yeah, you can't do it. You're one of the good ones. Don't insist on being evil.
I'm just honest about it. God damn it! And what is the point of being bordering on pathological honesty if y'all don't listen? God damn it!
And welcome to my world. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna. It was 2 weeks ago we did the Superman articles, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're gonna finish the space one, which you can go to Podcast the Storm 329 to catch the first part. We're gonna continue the second half of it.
Yep. It's the Superman endings article.
Yeah, Superman's biggest weakness isn't kryptonite. It's hold on, let me go back up and read the full. It's that every Man of Steel movie to date has a disappointing ending. Okay. Mm-hmm. Which is fair.
Yeah. Like I said last week, that is one of the reasons why I cannot rewatch Superman the movie very often, because of the whole time travel Deus Ex Machina thing.
Yeah. Oh, God damn it. Sorry, my foot is itching like crazy. Like it's right at the knuckles.
Oh dear.
You ever had that?
A couple times. Doesn't happen with my feet very often because, well, my circulation to my feet is shit. But
Fucking Christ. Sorry, it's just like fucking annoying. I mean, I don't get itchy on my feet often. Okay, that's not true. After a long day and I take off my socks, they feel itchy.
They say when your palms itch, you're about to gain money or success. I don't know what your feet itching means. Like, I don't know if there is a folkloric superstition around that.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up because now I'm curious.
The only thing I can think of is there's a superstition that if you drive a iron stake through a witch's footprint, they're bound there until you set them free.
Okay, that is interesting. Okay,
but that's really not germane to any of this. That's the closest thing to a foot-related superstition I can think of.
In folklore, itchy feet are often linked to travel, change, and new experiences, which seems apt.
Well, I believe we have one of those QED sorts of things here.
Okay, itchy right foot is commonly interpreted as a positive omen, suggestive of upcoming travel or good fortune. Conversely, an itchy left foot, which unfortunately I do have, is sometimes seen as a warning of a difficult or unfavorable journey.
Oh dear. Fuck.
To be fair, my left side's always itching because I'm a lefty, so.
I did not know that.
Seriously?
You have never mentioned it to the best of my recollection.
I think I've mentioned it before.
I could have.
Sure, it doesn't come off often, but
I could have sworn you've never mentioned it. So this is news to me. If you've ever mentioned it, I have long since forgotten, but that doesn't seem like the kind of detail I would forget. Although there is, speaking of like folkloric superstitions, there is a superstition that left-handed people are more are more artistic and creative. So
Yeah.
we may have yet another QED here.
All right. So Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice 2016 and Justice League 2017, which is somewhat odd to me. That well, no, actually they're supposed to be kind of sequels anyway. So weird they're
I
lumped.
yeah. Also, if I had been making this article, I would have focused on the movies where Superman is the main character. So I wouldn't have included BVS and I wouldn't have included Justice League, but
Okay, the motivation for the titular hero's truce in Dawn of Justice has been widely mocked. Their moms are both called Martha. Yes. But in all fairness, it's one movie where Superman does get a satisfactory ending, bumping off a genetically engineered monstrosity. Oh, bumped off by a genetically engineered monstrosity, Doomsday, a nod to famous 1992 comic art.
I would argue it's not a satisfying ending because he fucking dies
Okay,
in his second movie.
So, and it's not that I don't disagree with you, but I think honestly the issue is that it was not handled properly.
Well, it's kind of like the Batman versus Superman aspects they borrowed from Dark Knight. Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
They borrowed the image, or I guess I should say Zack Snyder borrowed the imagery, but left everything about why those storylines work on the table.
Right. So before they mention the Justice League thing, so I've made it no secret that I am trying my best to rework the DCEU because there are a lot of good ideas in all those movies. And I'm just trying to make sure it all cohesively works while changing what needs to be changed to make it better. It's a real pain in the ass because it's taking forever.
Because there's a lot of holes in them there movies.
Honestly, not as many as you think.
Well, you're also you, and you get creative ideas to an almost pathological degree. So there's that.
It's been kind of a slog currently with the DCEU thing. Just
because even you can't unfuck certain things.
No, it's not that. It's just I've been too busy. You do forget I have a life, right? I realize you don't, but
excuse you.
I'm sorry. I've had a long week, and I don't know why I'm just feeling extra bitchy tonight.
It's fine. You can be my bitch if you absolutely need to.
As soon as I said it, I was like, "What the fuck?" Nah, but I'm sorry about that. I just fuck that is. I don't know where the fuck that came from.
You're tired and cranky. It's fine.
Yeah.
Lord knows it's happened to me more than my fair share of times. Of course, cranky is one of my default emotions, but case right.
Well, bitchy is more the baseline, but
as you once said, and I take great pride in, I am that bitch.
Make sure I just didn't call you a bitch.
No, you said it on stream. It's going to take me a while to find out the episode, but you did say it on stream. I have evidence. You said that I am that bitch.
Well, I've called you multiple things that end with bitch, so my memory is not as good.
You have.
Yeah.
But in this particular case, that was said on stream, so I have it for posterity.
Fair enough. So Dawn of Justice, I think legitimately could have worked if some elements were changed. Or added. Or okay, so obviously I'm nixing like the bullet thing, the frame job, because I think just the destruction of Metropolis as it is enough.
It works as the inciting premise.
Yeah, like as the as kind of this focal point of discussion within the movie. Now, I know we've had this whole back and forth of, I'm not saying like obviously be political or anything, but more so run the line of what like the Incredibles did, right? Like,
yeah,
superheroes being held accountable for their actions and the
play
destruction.
the ball where it lies.
Yes.
Also, and to add to this, I don't know if I don't know your opinion on this or not, but I don't think you need the Lex has Clark's mom thing.
No, that was I completely nixed that.
Yeah, much like Captain America: Civil War, which had this very same problem of needing there to be some other reason for the two to fight. Yeah, but much like Civil War, the philosophical conflict between the two characters and their opposing worldviews could have been the inciting incident.
To be
And
fair,
should have been, probably.
To be fair, I also added a Batman movie between Man of Steel and BVS just so we get more insight to the character of Batman before he goes against Superman.
That also would have been nice.
Yeah.
Instead of the perpetual DC problem of we want to skip to the end.
Yeah. Main antagonist was Wally or Wallace, the security guard who got his legs crushed in the Battle of Metropolis. Look, he's not an antagonist. He's a villain. He becomes Metallo. Which I feel like genuinely could have been the setup, or was set there, because in some of the early drafts of BVS, Metallo was supposed to be the main villain.
And they've already established in many different continuities that Lex essentially uses Metallo to get back at Superman. So that could have still. And
I think it's a good. And you're gonna hate this word, Dalton, but thematically, it makes the most sense because he is a victim of Superman not being as careful as he should be in that first fight. That caused all that destruction. He's a casualty of Superman's recklessness. Yeah, instead of it being Zod's corpse and not even like that. That's the other thing. They turned Zod's corpse into Doomsday, but they didn't even do anything with it from a storytelling standpoint. That is the man that Clark has killed, now warped and twisted by Luthor's evil into the ultimate, means to kill him. I'll be right back. Give me 1 sec. Yep. Yeah, but they could have, even Doomsday could have worked if you had actually had Clark having to cope with the fact of, shit, that's the guy I killed. And now he is the ultimate weapon of destruction because I failed to be discriminating when I should have been. Kind of thing. Right. And another reason why I think Metallo also works, I'm not disagreeing with your idea with Doomsday either. I'm just right. No, I do think Metallo works better. I'm just saying that even if Zack Snyder really, really wanted to do Doomsday, he could have done that and actually made it matter to the characters. But another reason it also works is he's also a good foil to Batman. That Metallo represents the rage and hatred that Batman would kind of be holding against Superman for most of the film, and to show it kind of emphasizes the similarities between Lex Luthor and Batman because they both use technological proxies essentially to even the playing field with Superman. One of them obviously doing it for actual justice-oriented reasons, and one of them doing it because he has a philosophical bugbear with Superman. And another idea I had was kind of early on. It's revealed that Bruce and Clark know each other's identity, like kind of a similar vein of the world's finest crossover. Yeah. Well, similar, and this is before the gala scene. Like functionally similar to the plot. I mean, not in terms of the nature of the scene. Yeah. But this before the gala, before they kind of start to have a conversation, which would have been more in depth, and you have that underlying current that they both are while it's supposed to be an interview between Clark Kent and Bruce talking about Superman, it's really
It's
a philosophical
Superman. It's Superman and Batman shit talking each other essentially.
yeah. Um,
I do like the idea that Lex knows. I wish it's annoying because Zack Snyder actually does and did have some good ideas. He just didn't do anything with them.
I did have a major. I mean, I wanted to keep Jesse Eisenberg because I legitimately do think he would have been a good Lex Luthor if he was given good,
Yeah.
like
If
better.
if he was closer to his version of Mark Zuckerberg or his version of J. Daniel Atlas in
Nice.
Now You See Me, that could have worked. And even a lot of the like philosophical diatribe that goes on makes sense for Lex. Like I will give it to Zack Snyder on this one. I love the do you know the biggest lie
America.
in America, Senator? It's the power can be innocent. Because that is fucking Luthor. That is exactly Luthor's fucking problem with Superman. He doesn't believe that Superman can actually be this purer than driven snow innocent idealist, even though he is, and he wants to break Clark so that he can then be right, even if it ends up with him getting squished.
Right. So I had, and this was kind of a on something that was briefly talked upon, but I wanted to make the timeline work a little better. And I've told you this idea, Don, a while ago. I had this idea that Luthor had a grandfather who worked on the Manhattan Project, but that was because his grandfather was Jewish from Germany and he escaped during the time of a certain group that was in occupation of Germany at the time.
The German mustache artist fan club.
Yeah. And that kind of, I feel like that's a good base to have for Luthor as well, because it does give him a little more of an understanding. Not to say that he didn't, how to put this, I'm not good with words, so.
Like I said, the ideas that were there were good. They just could have gone further with them, and there's no reason they couldn't have augmented it with the thing you're saying.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't say like he's a traditional Jewish.
No, because at the end of the day, Luthor is out for Luthor. Any similarities with other humans are incidental to him. That is another aspect of what bothers Lex about Clark. Because in the like traditional like self-made man sense, Lex is a Superman. It's just that one, he's a cynical Ayn Rand influenced bastard, who thinks that because he is the self-made man that he should be worshipped as some kind of messiah, and B, he doesn't like that after years of making himself in the self-made man sense, that some alien can just come in and steal his thunder, especially when that alien is a naive, purer than driven snow idealist, which in Lex's terminology makes him an idiot.
I also, okay, not gonna lie, I hate the hair. Not to say that I want him bald, but I feel like the hairstyle could have been done better.
Again, kind of like it was in The Social Network.
That or the kind of straight looking hair he has as Atlas. Maybe a little more stylized, more prim and proper, but
I don't know. I like it. This is just me being a petty fashion obsessed bitch, but I like Jesse Eisenberg having a perm a little bit or curly hair better than when he straightens it. And yes, I'm fully aware that I just pulled the queer eye for the straight guy thing.
What else? Those are major ideas. I had other ideas, but Grant, that gets me going more into my whole revision DCEU project, like introducing Martian Manhunter and Man of Steel, like towards the end of it. like him being part of it and all that.
Sorry, DT is catching up, I assume, to the scene where I was talking, or the part of the stream where I was talking about montages would have improved Doctor Strange 2016 significantly. I agree. I think the 2007 animated one did a lot of things better for Doctor Strange's character. I don't see why we couldn't have had it a little bit of both, especially because there are criticisms I have for the 2007 one, although it is severely better than it is significantly better than the 2016 version.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, moving on with the article before we get sidetracked again.
Yeah. Okay. A-list superheroes rarely stay dead for long, however, and as had been spoiled but via early Justice League artwork, he returned for the superhero team up in both Joss Whedon's theatrical cut and Zack Snyder's longer cut. Clark Kent is resurrected by some cosmic hocus pocus housed in an alien mother. Okay.
Oh, fuck you! You don't get to shit on the in-universe stuff just because it's in-universe stuff. Especially because I don't think anyone thought that they were gonna leave Superman dead.
I mean, I would have done it if I was in charge. I would have done it for a few more movies, mind you. But
right, and this is what would have been the sensible option. Make that the capstone to his trilogy. Like, actually have him sacrifice himself against Doomsday, like he kind of did, but actually have this be a Superman who has established himself and who we therefore, in the same way with the comics, feel when he dies. And, being as it's the capstone of the trilogy, you don't have to do the Deus Ex Machina thing. That's one of the reasons why, even though there are good ways they could have done the death, like we were just talking about, I still think it would have made better sense as the capstone to a trilogy, or however many movies Henry Cavill wants to do as Superman. Have him do those, and then when Henry wants to bow out, you do the death of Superman, and you leave it there.
I mean, I'm honestly the Justice League thing that I'm doing. It's kind of veered so
far afield.
I mean, I've kept some ideas the best I can. It's just like given the changes I've done with the other movies.
Yeah, it's like a butterfly effect thing. You change this, that, and the other in all the other movies, and that has accumulated. Kind of like in our rewrite of Legend of Korra, where we didn't actually make any super major changes to begin with, but once they started adding up, it was like, this is a completely different animal now to what season 1 of Legend of Korra actually was. Which, to be fair, is good, because season 1 of Legend of Korra especially was bad. But, yeah. No DT. One, because the thing of Sue fighting Galactus, that kills her, so it's not like they had her one-shot him. And two, in terms of raw abilities with their powers, Sue has always been the most powerful member of the four. And then obviously Reed and Sue's kid, Franklin, kind of exponentially increased both of their powers to the point where he has the same elasticity of his father, but his elasticity can warp reality. And he has the same cosmic, field manipulation as his mother, but combining that with Reed's stretchy powers gave him the ability of reality bending. Anyway, moving on.
Right. During a stint of amnesia, Superman fights the A-Team of DC Extended Universe movie heroes Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Cyborg, and The Flash, before eventually coming back to his senses courtesy of a timely intervention from Lois Lane. He subsequently dons... Sorry.
Sorry. The amnesia thing was so fucking stupid. That is my least favorite part of that movie.
Okay, so I haven't written this down yet, but I'm thinking about it because obviously I still kind of have to resurrect Superman. But I wrote so the way I'm doing the Justice League movie, I'm not gonna go full in depth, mind you, because it's a lot, and I'm still trying to write it out because I'm trying to combine ideas like I liked from the Joss Whedon cut, and Snyder, while also obviously doing the ideas that I have built up.
Mhm.
It's hard to really make it work. I'm not gonna lie, it's been a fucking pain in the ass. But I still have them resurrect Superman. But for one thing, I have all the nightmare scenes and like the whole nightmare sequence and all that be the opening prologue.
It could have been nice. Yeah.
Just
To
like
actually make sure the audience knows what the fuck is going on at any given moment. That's one of the sort of unsung complaints that we don't hear often because Zack Snyder did so many other things that were questionable. I know I always hate whenever movies are told out of order in general, but God, the like pseudo art house pretentiousness of the constant fucking dream sequences and flashbacks and flash forwards. Tell a story in fucking chronological order, please,
so.
for the love of God.
So the idea was that we're kind of seeing the third act play out. Where they're going to the place, the abandoned, basically Chernobyl, but not really Chernobyl.
Mm-hmm.
And they're resurrecting Superman because the events prior don't technically matter, but basically, and I'm doing the female Furies instead of Steppenwolf,
Which,
because that gives a larger number of, well, one, distinct individual characters, two, female villains, which Marvel didn't really do at the time, or hasn't really done well.
yeah, not much anyway.
And it builds up the new gods, which was the whole fucking point of the DCEU. Well, at least one of the points it was supposed to be.
Also, it allows it to be a team versus team thing, and that explains better why, none of them could do it individually. That's one of the small, important parts about the Justice League that they ignored, which is the whole point of the Justice League is it's supposed to be threats or or situations or characters that none of them can handle by themselves, but they can all they all can pitch in to handle as a unit.
Right. But nightmare sequence wise, they resurrect Superman, cause an apocalypse on Earth, obviously. The heroes fail. A lot of them die in those early days. The underground resistance, again, I'm putting all the nightmare sequences stuff and adding stuff to it that
and then flashing back instead of
have Flash
constantly interspersing it. Yeah.
Have Flash run back, which would have been I had in between that Superman, a Batman movie that connects between that stuff, give him a little more expansion of character.
Which could have been the first part of the movie where Batman essentially pulls a Nick Fury and gets all the team together. That could have been a part of the Batman movie.
No, at least not how I'm writing it. It's kind of to explain his kind of the shift in his
outlook.
Between BVS and Justice League. While also kind of expanding the Bat family a bit more, because I kind of took it away in his first movie with Robin.
Yeah, again, one of the biggest problems, and to be fair, I'm not even sure this is Zack Snyder's fault. It's given how James Gunn's version kinda does it too, although to a far better degree. I think it's a studio problem. They always want to skip to the end and not do any of the fucking setup for things that they want to skip to the end of. They want to essentially jump straight into making Avengers money and not do any of the work that makes making Avengers money possible.
But so that and the end credits or whatever credit scene you want to say, which would have just been in Justice League as well, like kind of before the opening of the movie, like for the prologue, right? The end of it, which is the scene where the Flash appears to Bruce, in BVS, where he is too soon
Yeah.
trying to warn Bruce of stuff.
Yeah.
Just connect that, obviously it's and we see, and again, I feel like it has more weight. Obviously, with the end of have that be the ending of the Batman movie, second Batman movie, and then you get the context of it with the prologue of Justice League.
Meaning that, God forbid, this connected universe will actually feel connected for 5 minutes.
Honestly, that's been my just biggest thing.
Yeah. If you're going to make an interconnected universe, you actually have to do the work of connecting it. You can't just skip to the end.
Okay, I'm sorry. Some things I had planned that I've written out a bit. I'm sporadically going through the movie. I'm not writing it all in one go, like piece by piece. I'm writing it piece by piece, but I'm not going in order.
Which he does that a lot. Usually that's one of the things that I help him with when we're doing our brainstorming type thing, is he'll have a bunch of different ideas and I'll go, okay, but if you connect them this way and this way and this way, then it flows neatly, and then boom. Usually I also end up poking it in such a way that it becomes a larger universe than it should be.
To be fair, it's just stuff that stood out to me that I like just instantly pops out to me that how it could be done better. So, but when Cyborg is like explaining how the box of mana was found in the hologram, I have it be the Justice Society who finds it.
Okay, that's cool. Granted, I am the biggest simp in the world for Golden Age pastiches.
Well, again, it would have been an Easter egg, but again, it's show the history of this world, to show that it's lived in. Because if that is your biggest selling point for this fucking series of movies, fucking do it. Commit.
Yeah, if you're going to do it, then do it. If you're not going to do it, then don't do it. But pick one and go with it.
Yeah.
Also, I know this isn't in your Man of Steel rewrite really, but something I felt that could have been interesting, and I think we've talked about it before, is if part of the reason Clark becomes a hero is because he was a fan of the Justice Society growing up, that could have really been interesting.
Yeah.
Especially if Black Adam is still a thing, and we still have them essentially come out of retirement.
My whole idea with Justice Society, even though it came out like in, what was it, 2022? 2023.
I don't think. I thought the Whedon cut was like 2017, and the Snyder cut was like 2021, I think.
Black Adam was 2022.
Right, Black Adam was 2022. I thought you said Justice League. Or
no, I said Black. Can I?
Sorry, go ahead.
If Black Adam came out in 2022, still within my revision, timeline-wise, it's actually set in the year between in the year between BVS and Justice League.
That can work, and then the post-credit scene can be obviously after, or again,
actually, I wanted to do my version of Black Adam because I'm redoing it a bit. Like, general ideas are still there. I'm just reworking it a bit to make it work, or a little more better, I think. Not going to really reveal much here because we don't really have time for it, but Yeah, and it just to show that in that time frame from Superman, dying, that things were emerging, starting to happen in the wake of Superman's death, and world was changing.
Well, there's the other thing of, as much as I like Black Adam, someone should have told Dwayne Johnson that Black Adam is not a Superman villain. He is a Shazam family villain.
Although relatively recently in comics, he's become he's a villain that faces off against other. Yes, I agree. He's primarily a Shazam family.
Yeah, but they have done anti-hero things with him, which is why I didn't really mind it so much in the Black Adam movie, especially because Dwayne Johnson wants to be the, if not good guy, at least understandable guy. But yeah, go ahead.
He subsequently dons a new black suit, taking style tips from the Cape Crusader. Okay, this motherfucker doesn't know shit about comics.
Yeah, the black suit is not in any way Batman related. It's his health suit, because the black suit channels sunlight better. Of course, I will say, one, that doesn't really make much sense, because why wouldn't he wear it all the time if that were the case? And two, even in the context of in-universe science, black actually cancels out solar radiation. That's why, to bring in real-world science, that's why black people have darker skin, because melanin, the pigment that makes black people black, absorbs and deflects sunlight better than white skin, because in the savannas of Africa, it was much easier to die of heat stroke, and so the people from Africa evolved to have darker skin and reflect more of the sunlight rather than absorbing it. Whereas white people came about in a place where sunlight was rarer, and so you needed as much sunlight as you could have access to, hence why the lesser pigment.
I had the whole thing with the suit. That he wore it in the Nightmare timeline after he was resurrected and basically not puppeteer, but controlled by Darkseid, following him, right?
Mm-hmm. Being Darkseid's herald, more or less.
Yeah. Or, yeah. But when he's resurrected here, in the current time, right? Where it's different circumstances, he chooses, and after certain things that I won't go into here, he chooses to wear his old costume and it's a little brighter, a little more colorful, mind you, a little popped out more, right? And he, as symbolic kind of embracing of that more lighter nature, the beacon of hope that he's supposed to be, and all that, and kind of,
which in your version he's better at anyway, but still,
that's not saying much. But anyway, sorry, we should probably keep going.
Yep. Moving along, because we're still on the first topic.
And helps the League defeat cosmic bad guy Steppenwolf. Okay, I don't have a problem with Steppenwolf, but seriously, the female Furies I legitimately think would have been a better choice here.
And again, it makes better sense for it to be team versus team than only one of them doing the majority of the work,
right?
Even if it is Superman.
Okay. He ends both Justice Leagues by going back to work as mild-mannered reporter Clark Kent, almost as if nothing had happened. Fair enough, but coming back from the dead must have been a tricky one to explain the planet's HR team. Okay, that's actually not a bad point.
Yeah, that's fair. Because
in BVS it did make it it did show that Clark Kent was also announced dead, and he had a whole funeral and stuff.
Well, yeah, and although to be fair, and again, I don't mind this as much, but I realize I'm in the minority on it. Zack Snyder's continuity really de-emphasized the secret identity thing, and again, I'm okay with that because I don't particularly care for the secret identity thing.
You can go
But
fuck yourself.
but if you're doing lip service to the secret identity still being a thing, then it looks even more suspicious than all the other ways in which Supes and Clark are similar in the public eye. For oh hey, as soon as Superman was also resurrected, Clark came back, even though we threw his funeral. Like if you're going to have the secret identity, you have to actually play the ball where it lies. And if you're not going to have the secret identity, then just don't fucking have it. Because you literally have to make the average person in the DC universe a fucking idiot in order to make the secret identity still work if both Clark and Supes are getting resurrected.
Well, okay, in the Death of Superman thing, because Doomsday destroyed a lot of Metropolis and a lot of people got killed, that made a little more sense.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also the DC universe where people just come back all the time.
Yeah, but that hadn't been established yet in this particular version of this universe.
I know. I'm just being broad here. I do agree. Yeah, it's very stupid. All right, so next Superman article, which we never covered, right?
No, we never covered the. So we didn't get one for the most recent reboot in that article.
No, I think that was
that's really weird though, because this would I thought in the like introduction they mentioned that the new one doesn't really have a good ending either, which to be fair it doesn't.
I think it's fine. I just think the context of the movie doesn't help it.
Yeah, the writing issue is like we said, it's trying to do all the ideas and not really picking one, and the ideas it does use, it doesn't really give enough space to work with. But,
sorry, I'm
but anyway, moving on to the next thing.
Yeah. Okay, this is from Newsweek.com. It's published July 16th, 2025. And I just want to preface this. Dalton, the country rednecked white boy, is the one who suggested this.
Redneck is a bit much. There are rednecks in my area, but me and my family aren't among them. Granted, my mother is kind of a spiritual Texan. Like, she took a quiz. Actually, she's taken several. That's like a what state can we guess what state you're from based on your personality type quiz. She gets Texas every fucking time. So there is that.
I should draw one of those. Okay, Hick. Does that work?
I mean, it's better, but yeah, it's at least the one you normally use.
I could have been more descriptive, and it would have been worse.
This is also true. But anyway, moving on to the next one.
Also, he is super political for some reason. I don't understand it, but
because as much as politics annoys me, it annoying me will not prevent me from being affected by it. And unfortunately, especially in today's day and age where all the journos try to force politics into entertainment, in order to do this show, I have to be willing to call out people when they're being politically stupid. And that happens almost every day. It's one of those, oh, it's the day that ends in Y, so some journo is going to try to force politics into entertainment and entertainment into politics because reasons. Moving on, though.
All right, is new Superman movie anti-Israel? What to know? It's written by, I didn't say who it was written by.
This is one of those. The fact that that's even a question means you are a brain rotted journo, sir. But yeah,
Oh, hold on. I need to check something. The archive might not be as. Hold on. I just need to check it real quick. Okay. No, that's not it. Sorry. I'm trying to. Okay, hold on. Sorry. It's just like the thing that. Okay. Yeah. For some reason, in the archive version, some of it was. Some of the words were covered. So
that's weird.
yeah. God damn it! No, I don't want it. Okay. Superman, the new blockbuster from DC, has made a box office splash. However, political figures from the right and left have quickly taken to social media in a bid to read into the meaning behind the film, namely whether it is about the war in Gaza.
The answer is no. It was being made several years before the Gaza thing happened, unless it was recently written, which is not a which unfortunately James Gunn is not above doing, considering he made the story about cancellation because he wanted to make Superman his self-insert. But that's a whole
Right.
different conversation.
And one you've gone on ad nauseum. So,
Yeah.
all right. Newsweek has reached out to DC via email for comment. The article includes some spoilers as to the plot of the film.
Huh. Again, I just want to be on record. The fact that anyone is being taken seriously while asking a stupid question like this is a sign of brain rot in the first place. Granted, journos at this point have more brain damage than I do, and I have a physical disability as a result of my brain damage.
Yeah, brain damage.
Yeah, that's what cerebral palsy is. It's a lesion on the cerebrum, hence why cerebral palsy. That basically means there's a part of my brain that is atrophied.
Sorry, it's just when I think brain damage, you know what? I'm not going to say that. Anyway, moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Why it matters. The current conflict between Israel and Hamas began on October 7th, 2023, when Hamas launched an attack on Israel in which about 1,200 people were killed and 251 taken hostage. Israel retaliated, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to
Netanyahu is how it's said.
The Palestinian Ministry of Health in Gaza reports that as of July 16th, at least 58,573 people have been killed in Gaza, and a further 139,607 people injured. There is a widespread humanitarian crisis in the territory, while nearly all the all of the population have been displaced according to the UN. I don't have anything to say about it.
I don't. That's not technically incorrect. Why in all the fucks it's relevant to a Superman article, I don't know. But again, political brain rot. Moving on.
All right. What to know? Superman, directed by James Gunn, was released on July 11th and rebooted the Superman franchise. The film marks Gunn's first entry into this universe, but he is known for his work on the Marvel film Guardians of the Galaxy and began work on Superman in 2022.
Okay, so in theory, he could have done the stupid thing and actually made it a Israel-Palestine allegory, just like he made it a self-insert cancel culture allegory, but I hope not. I want to have at least a little bit of faith left in James Gunn.
Tonight's film has exceeded box office and critical expectations, officially hitting $217 million following its first weekend in cinemas, Variety reported. As a press time, it has an 83% tomato meter score and a 93% popcorn meter score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Rotten Tomatoes is a useless platform ever since they started altering their validation process or whatever the fuck around the release of Captain Marvel. Because it doesn't actually reflect the audience actual opinion. It reflects what the people at Rotten Tomatoes consider to be valid criticism or not. Moving on.
Alright. Viewers of the film have drawn parallels between its content and the war between Israel and Gaza. This has been applauded and condemned online in equal measure. Okay. Anything?
No, just moving on. Sorry, I was reading something Dragon Turtle put in the comments.
Yeah, I just saw that. I saw
the answer to how they're related, DT, is Franklin's powers take Sue's ability to create and warp cosmic energy fields and Reed's molecular alteration ability that lets him do the stretchy thing and combines them such that he has control over cosmic energy fields that allow him to warp reality. It's just that Reed's stretchiness was limited to molecular shit and specifically his own body, whereas thanks to Sue's cosmic energy field manipulation abilities, amping that, Franklin can now warp reality, and it doesn't apply to only his body. Anyway, moving on.
I saw the new Superman film last night. Tell me why it is an anti-Israel as people were making it out to be. The TikTok creator Blonde Birch Tree. Okay, well that sounds like someone that should be taken seriously.
Yeah, like
a video that has viewed over 193,000 times. God damn it.
Yeah, small point, and I'm not just saying this because I am contractually obligated to never use TikTok thanks to my allegiance to the Queen of Air and Darkness, but if your serious journalistic article, TM, features someone said this on TikTok, you may want to reevaluate your choice of subject matter, my dear, because TikTok is cancer. And again, not just because some assholes thought it was a good idea to hex the moon and pissed off both of the queens of fairy, but moving on.
All right. all week people on Twitter have been saying it's explicitly anti-Israel without a doubt. That is the most pro-Palestine I have seen a mainstream film ever be. Blonde Bird
Uh,
Street continued in the video.
Again, not to be a dick, but if you're again serious journalism TM hyperfixates on Twitter and TikTok, you may have been a fucking moron. And this case appears to be another example of why treating Twitter mobs and TikTok reels like they are in any way a reflective barometer for like actual people's thoughts, it appears to have fucked you. It appears to have sailed cleanly over your head while still simultaneously managing to fuck with it. Moving on.
All right. Further video from this creator has a text overlay. They weren't lying about the new Superman film being anti-Israel. It has been viewed 3.7 million times as of reporting.
Its popularity or lack thereof is completely immaterial to the fact that it is a crazy take. Granted, again, I'm not saying that James Gunn is above making that allegory, but I really want to have at least some respect for him left, so I'm going to presume that he didn't, for the sake of seeing him as someone who should ever be taken seriously again. Because if he unironically did that, and also unironically made Superman his self-insert because of cancel culture, then my respect for James Gunn will be drastically diminished. Moving on.
All right. It's clearly supposed to be Israel and Palestine. The TikTok creator, Cole Layton Film, said in a video viewed over 20,000 times on the platform. The parallel has also been drawn by popular left-wing Twitch streamer and social media personality Hassan Piker. Fuck
God,
that guy.
fucking damn it! See, you remember what I said about why you shouldn't make Twitter mobs and TikTok reels the premise of your article? Well, listening to Hassan Piker about anything ever means that your IQ is dropping below the 3-digit mark. Like, and I know I'm not saying that simply because he has political disagreements. I'm saying that because he is an effeminate hipster douchebag who actively supports terrorist organizations. And also is an effeminate manlet, and yet somehow some kind of paragon of masculinity according to social justice. So like this is one of those, if you find yourself unironically agreeing with Hassan Piker on something like this, you may be too far gone. I'm sorry. There may be no help for you at that point. Moving on.
All right. Who uploaded a video to YouTube titled "Superman Just Exposed Israel on the Big Screen." Piker refers to Israel as well as Netanyahu, whatever.
Netanyahu.
I don't care. As the film's major plot point, and says, if you think this movie pulls punches from criticizing Israel, it does not. I feel like these guys watched a completely different movie. Or maybe I'm just dumb.
Okay, the problem is I can see a world in which James Gunn did intentionally rewrite the movie to include something like this. And he's already done it with his own using Superman as a self-insert from a cancel culture thing. So it's not impossible that that's what James Gunn means that to mean. But if he meant it to mean that, much like the cancel culture thing, he did so very, very poorly and very, very superficially, such that no one who isn't a politically brain-rotted twat could possibly even pick up on it. And if it turns out that that's what James Gunn meant to do, then I have similar criticisms about that subplot as I do for the cancel culture using Superman as a self-insert plot, which is, even if you decide that that's a plot your movie needs to have, there are better ways of handling it. In the case of the Superman cancel culture thing, you could have either done the Superman doesn't actually care and it makes Lex upset thing because Superman doesn't do shit for the attention, or you could have actually done a cancel culture subplot that was reflective of how dirty and manipulative the media actually can be, by not having him interviewed by Lois, but having him interviewed by Livewire and actually writing her as a manipulative yellow journalist shyster instead of just Lois trying to have journalistic integrity. That was one of the biggest problems with that arc, is it's framed as though Lois is in the wrong for just having basic bitch journalistic integrity, and it's framed as though she was like slandering him, but neither of those things is the case. If you wanted to make a story about Superman being slandered and the media being dirty, dirty smear merchants, you could have taken Livewire, given her a podcast instead of a radio show, have her interview Superman as Superman, and have her be a dirty smear merchant with a chip on her shoulder, like she is in the Superman the Animated Series, kind of, and have her actually say things that the media says when they're well and truly in "we want to slander this motherfucker" mode, which happens all the fucking time. Anyway, moving on.
All we people on Twitter or that. Sorry. On Reddit, one Reddit user posting to the thread "R Jewish" wrote that it is sad to see Superman 2025 being used as anti-Israel propaganda. There have been calls on social media to boycott the film.
Of all the reasons not to like this movie, and they do exist, political bias isn't really one of them, unless you mean in the sense of it tried to superficially tackle quote-unquote political issues and didn't do so very well, like I just did. Because that to me is the main issue. It's not even necessarily that you can't make a Superman movie where cancel culture is a problem, or a cancel culture or a movie where Superman intervenes in a political situation. But if you do it, you actually have to do it. And the movie didn't do it very well or very consistently, or give anything like time and depth to either plot. And that's one of the reasons it's kind of a clusterfuck. Because it didn't think through its implications, and it didn't actually say the things I think it was trying to say, and as a result, it makes the movie worse. Moving on.
All right. Film's plot includes Superman stopping an invasion by the fictional country of Boravia, an ally of the U.S. However, the film isn't about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, according to Gunn. Again, I feel like it would have been better if we had seen it.
Yeah, so he didn't fuck over the movie by being overly political a second time. Good. Because if he was asked and said, "No, I didn't do that," then he might be covering his ass. It's possible, but being charitable, that means that you're talking out of your ass and that Israel-Palestine has nothing to do with this. And hell, it would have, even if you assume that this is political self-insert crap, the Russia-Ukraine conflict happened before the Israel-Palestine one, and you could just as easily map Moravia versus, I forget the other country's name, onto that conflict rather than Israel-Palestine. If you've decided that's a thing you need to do, which you don't, if you've decided that's a thing you need to do, you could just as easily say it's a pastiche of the Russia-Ukraine thing than it is Israel-Palestine. Moving on.
Yeah. EternalComicBook.com, when I wrote this, the Middle Eastern conflict wasn't happening. So I tried to do little things to move it away from that, but it doesn't have anything to do with the Middle East. The film has political undertones, and it may be the case that social media users are mapping these undertones onto the conflict. Yes. Gunn told the Sunday Times earlier this month that the stories about an immigrant that came from other places and populated the country.
No. Again, if that's what you meant to say, James, or meant the movie to be about, you completely fucking failed to even mention that. And even if you had succeeded in making my immigrant allegory, James, that mindset applies more to Kara than it does to Clark, because Clark doesn't have any memories of Krypton or his parents or his home culture. The only thing he knows about Krypton is shit that he got from the information or supercomputer of the Fortress of Solitude, or the shit that he might have picked up from the Bottle City of Kandor, assuming that's a thing in this continuity. So like, if you want the story to be about immigration, TM, one, that's a stupid idea in the fucking first place, but if you wanted that to be a thing, you should save that for Supergirl, assuming you're making that movie. Because for Kara, that actually does make sense. She actually is a refugee from a previous culture that she has emotional and intellectual ties to. Clark does not. That's why he's Clark and not Kal-El. No matter how many times they hyperfixate on the Kryptonian side, rather than the aw shucks, my baseball apple pie, purer than driven snow, good guy from Kansas thing.
Moving on.
Yep, moving on.
All right, what people are saying. James Gunn, the director of Superman, speaking to the Sunday Times. For me, it's mostly a story that says basic human kindness is a value and something we have lost. Yes, it plays differently, but it's about human kindness, and obviously there will be jerks out there who are just not kind and will take it as offensive just because it is about kindness, but screw them.
You could have really, really emphasized that a hell of a lot more. We needed more scenes like the squirrel scene, if like altruism and kindness and compassion were the main crux of the thing. You should have left out the social media thing entirely and the political conflict entirely, and just had it be Superman going and doing Superman things, like getting the metaphorical cat out of the tree, and like the ideological and philosophical conflict between him and Lex Luthor. That could, much like we were just saying with BVS and Civil War, you literally could have just made this Superman does Superman things. It pisses Lex off. He tries to break Superman like he always does, and it fails because Superman is just that good. That would have been a movie that centered on the kindness motif. But unfortunately, the scenes like the swirl scene are kind of one-offs and don't really go anywhere. And the main plot of the movie is more about you using Superman as a mouthpiece / self-insert allegory for your own cancellation, and a badly done one at that, like I've already alluded to. So, like, if you wanted to hyperfixate on kindness, you could have done. What is the story where like Superman is going around the country and just doing day-to-day Superman things? I'm trying to think of, because I know there's a specific story where he's just kind of going around the country and helping normal people out with normal people problems. I don't remember the name of it.
I don't know.
Yeah, but you could have done something like that, and you still could have had Lex doing Lex things because Lex is a petty motherfucker and wants to break Superman because he doesn't believe, to use Zack Snyder phrasing, that power can be innocent, and it annoys him that someone as powerful and untouchable as Superman is a purer than driven snow idealist. But being that as it may, that's not the movie you made, and one really good scene like the squirrel scene does not a entire movie make, James. Moving on.
Yeah. All right. That's not popular left-wing Twitch streamer and social media personality speaking in a video shared on to YouTube. It very clearly Israel Palestine. On social media, a user wrote on X in a post viewed 4.5 million times. Y'all weren't kidding about how anti-Israel and pro-Palestine that Superman movie was. They were not slick with it at all.
Again, even if you're looking for real-world political allegories that might have influenced James Gunn here, does nobody remember that before Israel-Palestine was the current thing, Russia versus Ukraine was the current thing? I know the political zeitgeist has a short memory, but I do remember the 3 solid years where the cause du jour was Russia versus Ukraine instead of Israel versus Palestine. So even if you insist on projecting real world politics allegories, it makes more timely sense that it be Russia Ukraine, not Israel Palestine, just because of when the movie was being written. Not saying that James Gunn is above lying and above adding a Israel Palestine allegory in, because he already basically made the entire movie just his cancellation. But moving on.
Yeah, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Obviously, it's just
moving on.
Yeah. Okay, what's next? The film was released again. This came out. Well, this came out like a week after the movie was released. So, film was released less than a week ago. So reactions may well continue to build on social media over time. It has. I haven't looked into it because I don't care what other people think.
And yeah, people are all over the shop on this movie, which, to be fair, it's a very inconsistent movie, so I can understand why there are 500 different takes on it.
Well, to be fair, that's just going to be any movie.
I to some extent, I do think that if it were a more consistent movie, it would have at least had a more consistent reception.
You know what? I'm not going to disagree. I'm not disagreeing with that. I do agree. Yeah. I'm just setting up the next thing, so I'm going to be quiet for a second.
Yep. Huzzah! Welcome to the era of the current time, DT. Or at least approaching it.
I just find it funny that he didn't realize he wasn't sped up earlier.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah.
Anyway, next.
Yeah. Okay, so I just saw this. It is it's a suit reveal teaser for Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Mm-hmm.
It's only 22 seconds long. I find it interesting that they have Tom Holland. They have a list of 3 major actors for the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
One is obviously Tom Holland.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got Zendaya, who played Michelle Jones.
Yeah, different MJ.
Yeah, and Mark Ruffalo.
which raises the question of, is Hulk going to be involved here? Also, given that MJ um, forgot as per No Way Home, I'm wondering why Zendaya is still here.
Yeah, I don't get it either. To be fair, again, I've made no.
Secret of your problems with the MCU Spider-Man.
I was trying to think of some another way to say it, but yeah. Uh, Mainly because the issue I have is that it had a good start in Civil War, like introduction to the character, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first movie isn't bad. I think it could be better or explored or expanded on in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
But it's a solid start. But then Far From Home and No Way Home, I think had a major dip.
Yeah. Even though I liked No Way Home a bit more than you did, the thing that bothers me is the implication that Uncle Ben didn't die or died before he could have known Peter, and so killing Aunt May is now the Uncle Ben impetus. What would have made more sense there is still have the Uncle Ben thing happen, okay, and then have the Tony thing happen because there is sort of the adoptive son motif going on there, and then if you wanted to make Aunt May the icing on the cake, have this be a Spider-Man who has lost three significant mentor or family figures rather than just the one. But most people, when they watch No Way Home, are left with the assumption that Uncle Ben never died, or at least died before he could have known Peter. And so Aunt May is the start of the great power, great responsibility thing, which is nonsensical because he even mentioned it in Civil War that his uncle died and it was a whole thing. So,
Well,
like,
it's not his, never explicit, but I get what you mean.
and we see in Far From Home he uses a suitcase that has Ben Parker on it. So it's not like they haven't been alluding to, the Uncle Ben thing happened off screen because we wanted to skip the origin, and yet a lot of people at least were left with the assumption that that Uncle Ben never really happened, and Aunt May is the replacement surrogate for
Okay,
it.
I'm also going to point this out. I think Far From Home, mainly imp, not implication, the imp, what is it? Implementate? No,
I'm not sure to what you're referring, so I can't help you until we finish the sentence.
the implementing of the multiverse. I think legitimately could have been done better.
Well, yeah, and small minor fanboy gripe for me. I I hate that a lot of people watch No Way Home and think it's Doctor Strange's fault and
It's
not
Peter's.
Peter for being not Peter for being a chatty motherfucker when he should have been shutting his mouth, or at least should have thought about this conversation before he started casting it. Moving on though.
Well, I do want to run some ideas that because I've had time to think about this. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
for one thing, the bridge fight between Spider-Man and Doc Ock and Goblin, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, for one thing, the Sinister Six, which is what they were trying to build up, right?
Yep.
I've had time to think about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because Vulture and Peter kind of ended on good terms, more or less.
Yeah.
So he can't be part of it. I'm not doing the whole fucking him in another dimension thing. I don't give a shit about that. Fuck off.
Well, also speaking of not using the multiverse thing to its full effectiveness, you had Eddie from the Venom movies dragged to this universe, and then they didn't even interact with him or anything.
Okay, but how I would have done the Sinister Six, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so it's just because I'm thinking about this logically. So I'm not going to do the Lizard because again because that Spider-Man and him ended on good terms.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. Oh.
I've never heard that DC, so I don't know where you would have gotten that from.
Um. So it's Norman Osborn, Green Goblin. Like, okay, so like the breaking it down from all of them, right? So it's gonna be Norman Osborn and Doc Ock from Raimi Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's gonna be Electro and Harry Osborn as Hobgoblin from Amazing Spider-Man. And then because they set it up in Homecoming, Mac Gargan, aka Scorpion, and if not the Vulture, then possibly bring back the Shocker.
Wasn't the Tinkerer also in?
Yeah,
In
but
one of
he's
the.
not really. He's given the character they set up. He's not really like someone that's going to be on the front lines. He's not really going to be part of the Sinister Six as a team. And I kind of wanted
True, but he could have been the brains puppeteering things from the shadows kind of thing.
True, but just like the physical presence of the Sinister Six, that's my Sinister Six. How I would do it. And for one thing, another missed opportunity is the interactions between the villains as well.
Yeah.
Like you have a Norman Osborn who lost his son and a Harry Osborn who lost his father, and they're both fucking crazy.
Yeah, because goblin motifs.
Well, they're the goblin serums or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And for one thing, again, it's mainly with this main Spider-Man villains, great actors, truly, that did not get a chance to play memorable characters.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair, Drag Troll. That's true. If you really want to throw shit at Spider-Man, you could have the Lizard and maybe Venom 2 as temperamental allies.
Well, and that's the thing. I wouldn't have minded what they had set up in No Way Home with some, in fact, most of the villains eventually kind of coming to Peter's side. But if you're okay with Peter, being on relatively the same size as the Sinister Six, then again, why bring Venom and Eddie over if you're not going to use them? Especially because, and I had this idea years ago, but I don't often mention it. Imagine this from Peter's perspective. Peter meets Eddie and Venom, and this version of Venom is a hero, or at least an anti-hero, which could have set up Peter getting the black suit, not realizing that most versions of Venom are evil dickheads, and then he actually has a reason to want to put on the black suit, even knowing what it is, because the version of Venom that he met was a good guy, and he and Venom got along fine, so this version of Peter would have easily been able to be convinced of, oh, the symbiote and Eddie got along really well, and that version of Venom is a good guy, so I'm going to get a black suit. And then complications ensue from there, because most versions of Venom are evil.
I do also want to... So there's an idea that I also thought about with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. I think I brought this up before. Mainly because it's a throwaway line in Spider-Man 2. Where they're running names to give Otto Octavius. And
right, Doctor Strange, yeah, the reference,
which does imply
that there's a version of Doctor Strange in his universe. Yes.
Yeah, and I was thinking,
which means that magic exists in that continuity. Which
yes,
yay.
and Tobey Maguire would meet, MCU Doctor Strange, and because in the comics, Doctor Strange and Spider-Man have a working relationship, like they're friends.
That, and they were also one of the earliest sets of characters to cross over, and one of the most frequent sets of characters to cross over. They get on like a house on fire, and Strange being a mentor to him actually isn't that out of left field.
Yeah, and maybe that could also been set up the show in Multiverse Madness, like a scene or something. I don't know. Some people would think Bruce Campbell. I honestly think Liam Neeson for Sam Raimi, like for Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, because, well, Liam Neeson's worked with Sam Raimi on Darkman. Great movie, by the way. I actually really like that one.
I mean, assuming they were actually, including Doctor Strange in the original movies, my fan casting for him has always been Raul Julia. Raul Julia would have been perfect as Doctor Strange, and you can even allude to that in No Way Home, because there's nothing saying that version of Doctor Strange couldn't have died, but you could have had a picture or references to him being Raul Julia. Raul Julia is for me. Assuming we can't, resurrect Vincent Price from the grave and have him play Doctor Strange, which, why in the sidebar, but why in all the fucks didn't they just have Vincent Price, the basis for Doctor Strange's character in his version of the Raven? Why didn't they just get him to do it in the made-for-TV movie version? Because Vincent Price is not above doing made-for-TV movies and stuff. He loved being a B-movie character. So there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that they couldn't have asked Vincent Price while he was still alive and in his prime, hey, this character's actually kind of based on you a bit. Would you like to play him? And I don't think Vincent Price would have said no.
Right. And just because I'm me, again with Tobey Maguire, because I think Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man does feel like he kind of is having a more harder time with things post Spider-Man 2.
Which, I mean, that makes sense, considering that those movies were always kind of dour and semi-dark. So, like, that works.
Because it's me, with Tobey Maguire, I wanted to also make mention that he's thinking, because he's got a little older and stuff, he's in semi-retirement, as his daughter is kind of taking up the mantle more recently in his universe.
I'm sorry, DT. What are those quotes about? Because I'm not understanding them out of context.
When we were talking about, like, when you were talking about, like, Spider-Man interacting with Venom in his universe after interacting with Venom from the Sony movies.
Yeah. And again, it would have set up the symbiote story arc perfectly, because if he met Eddie Brock Venom first, anti-hero Venom, who gets along really well with his symbiote, of course, naive Peter, which Peter in the MCU is rather naive, would have gone, oh hey, it's one of those symbiotes from that guy Eddie I met during the whole multiverse thing. I want one. So he gets it, and turns out most versions of Venom are evil, so symbiote story arc.
Yeah. Anyway, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Banana.
Yeah, banana.
We ready?
I will say it looks a lot better than how it looked in the ending of No Way Home, because it was a fully CGI thing. It looks more tactile. Although I'm worried they're gonna fuck it up in the actual movie.
hmm
Like I said, it was just a teaser.
Yeah.
Don't look bad. All right, last thing for tonight.
I'm also very confused why they're doing Brand New Day before Secret Wars wraps up, because Secret Wars is going to probably reboot the entire continuity. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh, Giant Turtle. Hey, I got a suit like you. Why the hell would you do that? No offense, Venom. That doesn't make it not offensive. Oh, actually, another interaction would actually be super interesting. Would be Tobey Maguire talking to Venom and Tom Hardy.
Oh my God, you're right. I completely forgot they did that in Spider-Man 3. Holy fuck.
Again, I am aware that Venom was shoehorned by Avi Arad in Spider-Man 3 because Sam Raimi just wanted to do Sandman.
Right, but oh my fucking God, that could now I'm actually pissed. I was just low level pissed because I saw the obvious potential for setting up the symbiote storyline, and honestly I think the interactions between him and Eddie could have been really cool. But now that you reminded me they did the Venom thing in Spider-Man 3, holy fucking shit, that would have been cool. Especially given that if you remember at the end of No Way Home when everybody's being dragged back through the hole and what have you, a little tiny piece of Eddie's Venom breaks off, presumably setting up Black Suit. So what you could have even done is Maguire Peter warns him, and in fact, kind of warns Eddie or has a weird conversation with Eddie over it. Um, and then Peter takes a little piece of Eddie's venom, assuming that Eddie's venom is good by nature, and then because of what they were setting up with the like multiverse awareness of the like symbiote hive mind consciousness, obviously you still could have done the oh, this version of venom is bad still, but if Peter deliberately takes a piece of Eddie's venom because he assumes that in Eddie's universe, Venom and the symbiotes are good, then that gives more depth to the confusion when it does come time to do Black Suit story arc.
Mhm.
God damn it, that could have been so fucking amazing. I am so pissed now.
Again, a lot of movies post Infinity War seem to have the potential there.
Yeah, and there's still good stuff in a lot of movies post Infinity War. It's just it frequently gets buried under various confusing things at best and utter shit things at worst. Anyway, moving on to the next thing.
Yeah. I just randomly found this. I thought it was interesting. Okay. Originally from the HollywoodReporter.com, Highlander. Dave Bautista to play villain opposite Henry Cavill in Amazon MGM's remake. Written by Boris Kitt, published August 7th, 2025. They can only be wrong. Only one. Wrong. Bautista will be the second actor to play the part of the Raging Immortal. Okay, so I'm going to be fully honest. I have seen Highlander, but it has been some time.
Uh-huh.
So my memory is not as fresh as it could be. But I am aware of the general premise and the kind of cult of fame it has.
And that most of the Highlander fandom really doesn't want to talk about Highlander 2 with the whole alien thing.
Okay, I was not aware of that. So
yeah, they basically did the same thing they pulled with Gremlins 2, where instead of having the Mogwai be this mystical, Chinese, Fey adjacent creature, the Gremlins were revealed to be aliens because stupid.
I watched Gremlins 3. I don't remember that. Gremlins 2. Sorry.
You don't remember them being real as aliens?
No.
Well, they were, and it was dumb. And I realize I'm always, biased in favor of mystical shit, but everything about Gremlins, the first one, implied that they were ancient mystical creatures, and that was a key feature of, the guy who comes to take care of him after the whole thing goes down.
Right. All right. Dave Bautista is in final negotiations to play the villain in Amazon's MGM's remake of the 1980s cult classic Highlander. The actor would join him.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, if you want to.
I was just gonna say I think I speak for everyone when I say we would all be in favor of that because Dave Bautista is actually a really good actor.
Yeah. The actor would join Henry Cavill and Russell Crowe in the action fantasy, which hails from Amazon MGM's United Artists banner and is slated to get a theatrical release. Oh, that's nice.
I mean, I'm not saying that Amazon can't fuck it up, but the raw materials there, Dave Bautista, Henry Cavill, and Russell Crowe in a Highlander remake. That's some good shit.
Do you want to know who's directing it?
Go ahead.
Chad Stahelski is directing the feature that is due to begin principal photography at the end of September and shooting locales in the UK as well as Hong Kong.
Okay, now I officially need this to be a thing. Can it be a thing? I need it to be a thing.
The original Highlander, released in 1986, starred Christopher Lambert as Connor MacLeod, a medieval Scottish Highlander who discovers he's an immortal warrior. With the help of the swordsman named Ramirez, played by Sean Connery, the titular Highlander battles other immortals across the centuries, culminating in a modern battle in which, like the classic line of dialogue goes, there can be only one. The movie went back and forth from various times.
Which in that movie it didn't annoy me quite so much, because in that movie it kind of made sense. So I still think it could have worked a little bit better if they had done it in chronological order, but que sera, sera.
There's an anime movie of Highlander.
I vaguely have heard of that. I've never seen it though.
I haven't either. I just heard about it. In the remake, Cavill is playing MacLeod while Crowe is Ramirez. Huh. Not sure how I feel about their just doing the action. I would have been fine if they just did some other characters.
You spelled Faye wrong again, Dragon Turtle. There is no Y in Faye. There is an AE in Faye. But okay. That can work for a different franchise. I don't see how it could work for the Gremlins. Because to me, to do Alien Faye properly, they would almost have to be like Anodites from They would almost have to be like Anodites from Ben 10. That's what Alien Faye translates to in my head. Although I guess in this instance it would be in my proposed thing it would be more like the Lords and Ladies, the AOC, but no, it's too complicated. You either have to go full she with the concept of Alien Faye and make them kind of like the Anodites from Ben 10.
Guys,
or you just have to make the Gremlins earthbound. I think it makes more sense if they're just earthbound Fae creatures.
He just meant a general idea, not Gremlins in general, not the Gremlins.
Well, yeah, like I've been saying for years that I don't necessarily even mind that there are creatures like the Anodites in Ben 10. I just dislike that they were used to like drive a wedge between the alien side of Ben 10 and the magical side of Ben 10. There's nothing wrong with Anodites being essentially space fairies. Moving on.
So I'm about ready to pass out. So
Yep, moving on.
okay, but yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about them playing the original characters. Like I would have preferred if they just did kind of just a rebooted
Kind of like what we said for The Crow, there's absolutely no reason it had to be Eric Draven.
Yeah. Industry actress Marissa Abella also has a leading role. Okay, I don't know who that is. Batista will have the plum role of the immortal barbarian known as the Kurgan, who has been killing other immortals across centuries in order to absorb their essence. Clancy Brown memorably played the character in the original movie. Batista's imminent boarding is both a full circle moment and a fan cast materializing IRL. Batista was circling.
Everything about this movie at this point seems kind of like fan casty, and I mean that in the most positive sense possible.
I still would love to see Batista get his desire of playing Bane in a Batman movie.
Yeah. Also, why in all the fucks? Here you have a person who can play Bane. He wants to play Bane, and he's worked with James Gunn before. Why on earth would you cast anyone else when Dave Bautista is right there and going, I want to play this character, and I've worked with James before. Let me play it, James.
And the thing is, he can legitimately play an actual Bane, not just Musclehead or anything. And no offense to Tom Hardy, I do think he could. I do.
Yeah, it's just that Christopher Nolan altered Bane in so many different ways that it's not really recognizable as the character at that point.
Also, Tom Hardy is a pretty short dude, so
this is also true. But yeah, Dave Bautista can play Bane, wants to play Bane, and he and James have worked together before. So why in all the fucks would you not do Dave Bautista Bane? It is fucking genius, and he wants to, and he's worked with the director who's in charge of DC now. So, I hate to be this guy, but A plus B does in fact equal C. So why don't we get C?
All right. Batista was circling Kurgan back in 2015 when a version was being put together under the direction of Cedric Nicholas Troyan for Summit Entertainment. In recent months, fans have shipped Cavill and Batista as opposing immortal warriors in fan-made trailers. Michael Fence wrote the script for the remake. Scott Stuber and Nick Nesbitt are producing alongside Neil H. Mortz, Dahlski's 8711 Entertainment, Josh Davis of Davis Panzer Productions, and Louise Ronser. Okay.
He did DT. Everybody who worked with James on Guardians of the Galaxy defended him. Because they are actually really good close friends. In real life, and I for one always thought that James Gunn's controversy was a clusterfuck, and I didn't support his cancellation. Because he was literally canceled over Twitter jokes that were from like a decade and a half before cancel culture was really much of a thing.
Yeah.
And when you know that James Gunn got his start in a super edgy grindhouse studio like Troma, it shouldn't be surprising.
Right. Batista has been making Amazon one of his prime destinations, with Highlander just the latest feature project for the streamer. He has starred in Amazon action comedies My Spy and its sequel, and is in post on action comedy The Wrecking Crew opposite Jason Momoa.
It's a small world after all.
He's also in talks to star in Amazon's sequel to The Roadhouse. Okay.
I didn't realize Dave Bautista was quite this much of a geek, or fanboy, which is nice.
There's actually a video talking about his career I can send to you, because he's a genuinely he's a guy who likes to look for stuff that challenges himself as an actor, but also he gets to flesh out and not just be muscle and all that.
Yeah. Also, the second thing I was going to say, good for Dave Bautista getting that bag we all have to make a living, and he appears to be making a living while also having a lot of fun. So good for him.
There actually was a time, like before Guardians, right, where he was very selective of the projects, because he wasn't sure about the characters he was playing. Like he would turn down stuff if it was just really like not a good thing. Not just the role, but like just the movie itself. Like,
yeah, which I mean, good for him. I wish more people in Hollywood were more discerning when it came to that shit. It might prevent studios from being dumbasses more.
Batista is repped by WME, Meisner Entertainment Group, and Jackaway Austin. All right. I had heard rumblings of the Highlander reboot, but I never looked into it, just because, you know.
I heard Henry was being floated as being involved with it, but I honestly didn't expect it to materialize because poor Henry just can't catch a break. Damn it.
Yeah.
But not only is it materializing, it seems like it could be one of those really truly badass things. So, like, I'm excited for this now.
Yeah. So with that, folks, I want to say goodbye. Adios, aloha, avidazai, sayonara, peace, cheers, and
Shalom and fuck off.